So, what if you could give any group of people, no matter how scattered or disorganized they are, a set of digital tools to build a fully functioning, self-managing organization right from scratch? That's the huge ambition behind the web application we're breaking down today. Let's dig in and see the engine designed to make it all possible.
The entire philosophy of this app, its whole reason for being, is built on this one idea. And look, this isn't just some feel-good quote they slapped on the homepage. It's a technical mandate. In this system, nothing exists in a vacuum. Every single person, every project, every idea is designed from the get-go to be interconnected, forming one big, coherent whole.
So, this right here is the fundamental question the app is trying to answer. Think about it. You've got a bunch of passionate people, but they're all over the place. How do you give them more than just a chat room? How do you provide the digital scaffolding they need to build something real, something structured, something that can actually run itself? That's the big puzzle we're about to piece together.
All right, so to see how it works, we're going to peel this back layer by layer. We'll start with the core why, then we'll uncover the universal building block of the whole system. From there, we'll see how it connects everything, what makes the action engine go, and finally, we'll face the biggest challenge of all, trying to tame the complexity of this thing.
First up, organizing the unorganized. Before we get into the nuts and bolts, we really need to get our heads around the why. What's the core philosophy that's driving every single design decision in this engine? It really all boils down to these two core ideas. No one is an island. That handles the structure, right? It makes sure everything is connected. But have your say, do your bit, that's all about the energy. It's a constant invitation for you, the user, to participate, making sure the organization isn't just some rigid structure, but a living, breathing community.
So, if you're building a system where literally anything is possible, what do you build it out of? Well, the answer is this universal digital atom, the first of three core concepts we're going to cover, called the profile.
And a profile, which is short for application profile, is the fundamental unit of this entire universe. The best way to think of it is like a universal Lego brick. It's just a standardized digital container that can represent, anything, which makes it the foundation for everything else you're going to build.
And just look at the sheer flexibility here. And a profile can be a person, sure, that's obvious, but it can also be a task, a group like glassblowers, or even a totally abstract idea like new user info. It gets wilder. In this universe, the application itself is just another profile. Everything is made of the exact same stuff.
And creating one is surprisingly simple. The interface just asks for two things, a unique name and a quick description. You fill that in, you hit a button, and boom, you've just minted a new digital atom, ready to be connected to the rest of the universe.
But, a universe of disconnected atoms isn't very useful, is it? So how do you connect them? That brings us to our second core concept, building relationships. This is the glue that holds everything together.
The system uses this beautifully simple grammar to make all these connections. As you can see, every relationship is basically a sentence. One approved file is a certain relationship of another one. So, the person John is a member of the art club. It's this simple structure that lets you build everything from a tiny group to a massive, complex organizational chart.
Now this is a super important distinction. Relating is all about defining the structure, like in our art club example. It builds the map of your organization. Assigning, on the other hand, is all about action. When you assign John to that new member onboarding task, you're not just connecting him to it. You are literally putting him into that process. So one builds the map, and the other starts the engine. So, if relationships build the map, what actually starts the engine? Well, that is our third and final core concept, the action engine, which is powered by tasks. This is the part of the system that's designed to make things happen. So in this system, a task is way more than just a simple to-do item. It's a structured, multi-step process. Think of it like a little workflow with different stages. Every single task automatically comes with abandoned and completed states, but you can add as many custom steps in between as you want.
And just like a profiles, the things you can use tasks for are incredibly versatile. You could build out a whole training course where each step is a lesson. Or you could use it as a simple checklist or a really complex production line for creating something like a new web page. It's a super flexible tool that can be self-managed or require a manager to sign off on every step.
So how does this all actually work in practice? How does a single click from a user trigger an action, like starting one of these tasks? It follows this really elegant three-step process, a process that's designed to cleanly separate what you see from what the system actually does.
Okay, step 1 is the trigger. It all kicks off when a user clicks something, like a button. Embedded in that button's code is a simple, hidden instruction that tells the system what the user wants to do. In this case, hey, add this person to this specific task.
Then comes step 2, the petition. And this is the really clever part. The user interface, the button itself, it doesn't perform the action. Nope, instead it acts like a waiter. It takes the user's order and sends a request, or a petition, to the core system. All it's doing is saying, hey, the user just requested this.
And finally, step 3, execution. The main system is always listening for these petitions. When it hears one, it wakes up and carries out the requested action. This separation is absolutely key. It means you can completely change the user interface without ever breaking the core engine of the app, which makes the whole thing incredibly robust and way easier to maintain.
Of course, a system this powerful where anything can connect to anything else, well, it comes with a massive risk. And that brings us to the biggest challenge of all, taming its complexity for the average person.
This is the question that really haunts the whole project. When a new user looks at a dashboard with dozens of options, are they going to feel empowered, or are they just going to hit a wall of complexity and walk away? All that power is totally useless if no one can figure out how to use it.
The proposed solution is a strategy they call guided simplicity, and it has 3 main parts. First, context-specific help. There's a universal How button that gives you guidance exactly when and where you need it. Second, guided onboarding. New users are put on tasks that literally teach them how to use the system. And finally, templates. New organizations don't have to start from a terrifying blank slate. They can use pre-built structures to get going right away.
But even with all these safeguards, the developers are refreshingly honest. They straight up admit that this whole thing is an experiment. When you build a tool that's this open-ended, you simply cannot predict all the ways people are going to use it, or maybe even misuse it.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? Will this engine empower people to build beautiful, functional, new kinds of organizations? Or will its infinite flexibility become a trap, leading users into a confusing maze that can't escape? That's the billion-dollar question that only time and a lot of users can answer.